Welcome back to JBSports. I'm your host, Jonathan Burton, and today is Friday, so you know it's all about the normal sports. There's some big episodes coming up soon. I'm going to have one guest on. I'm going to have a mock draft episode with two guests who I call my draft experts, and then I'm going to have an interview with someone, but this will all come up in the future, so stay posted for those. But today's episode, we're going to talk about the NFL, NFL Pro Bowl voting, the Juan Soto deal, and we're going to talk about the NBA Cup, which has been very, very good recently. It's been very fun to watch. I haven't really liked NBA for a little bit, but for some reason right now it kind of has sparked back into my mind. So we'll go over the NFL playoff picture to start today, though. So, AFC, you have the clinch spots, the Chiefs and the Bills. The Bills coming off a bad loss against the Rams. I mean, they were competitive kind of, but towards the end when they lost in the fourth, they kind of just like gave up. I feel it's a rough loss just because that's not a caliber team you want to lose to. While they have a lot of good pieces on the Rams, I don't think the Rams are the best team to lose to. So, especially in their position. And then on the NFC side, Lions and Eagles. Big thing right here though is if the Lions lose to the Bills, the Eagles and Lions could have the same record. If the Lions lose, they'll be 12-2, and if the Eagles win against the Steelers, they'll be 12-2. So maybe you could be seeing the Eagles kind of sneak into the picture for the top of the NFC. I said it in the short that the Lions were the best in the NFC, and I do believe that still, especially if they beat the Bills. They might. I think we can all agree if they beat the Bills, they're the best team in the NFL. But that's just my opinion. Eagles are the second team in the NFC. They're going against Pittsburgh, really tough opponent. Going into Pittsburgh in the AFC in the hunt. In the hunt, basically if the Broncos beat the Colts, it's completely over. If the Colts do win, there's a chance again, but pretty much the Broncos Colts make or break this AFC division because you have the Browns, Jags, Jets, Titans, Patriots, Raiders all eliminated. Every single one of them are eliminated. So on on the AFC side, everything's like locked down. NFC, this is where stuff's still moving, and this is where I'm getting a little bit worried for my Commanders. So, like we said, Lions, Eagles, lockdown. NFC in the hunt, though, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Vikings, Packers, and the Commanders. While the Vikings are pretty much a lock. I don't think they have a 99% chance of making it, win, lose, or draw. So they're in it, really. Packers, if they lose this week against Seattle, they have a 93%, and so on and so forth. So, Commanders, if we beat New Orleans, we have an 88% chance to make it in, and if we lose, 59% chance. So we have over a 50% chance to make it. But the problem is the Rams are 8-6. They have a 51% chance of making the playoffs after their win against the 49ers. While we should be more worried for the Seahawks, who are in the same division as them, there's a chance if we lose the Commanders, the Rams could kind of sneak in on us. While I don't think that the Commanders will lose, there's always the chance I will get into the Commanders game in a little bit, but the Commanders should win. Now, other teams to look at. The Bucks are now in the playoffs. I think they were in the playoffs last week, but the Falcons have struggled the last 2 weeks. They lost the last two games in not spectacular fashions. So, and on the NFC side, you have one team out of the playoffs, and that's the Giants. While most of the teams, like the Panthers are 1%, Bears are 1%, Cowboys 1%, Saints are 2% if they beat us, 49ers 1%. They're eliminated, but they're not eliminated yet, but they're pretty much eliminated. So really in the hunt, Cardinals with 11%, Falcons with 49% and the Rams with 51%. The Commanders just have to win, and we pretty much have the NFC locked, except for the Bucks and Falcons. I think that can still go a little back and forth, but I do think the Falcons should be over with this play with Kirk Cousins. If that continues, I don't think the Falcons will do too well the rest of the season. And that sucks because I like Kirk Cousins, but he has not been good recently. He's been dog awful. So it sucks for Falcons fans, but right now, the only team anybody should really worry about is the Rams. And if the Commanders don't win this week, we're going to have a tied record, and it's going to be a very hard battle to make the playoffs. So if we win, we can kind of almost lock in our spots because we are going against some tough teams soon. Some very, very tough teams. Not really. Sorry. I meant to say we're going against a very, very tough team next week. The Eagles. That's what I meant to say. My bad. One of the best, the second best team in the NFC. The thing with them is that's probably going to be a loss. Then we have the Falcons and the Cowboys. Both of them we should win. So this is a must-win game for the Commanders just because it puts us in a more cushioned spot against the Rams for that loss against the Eagles. Because say the Rams continue to play how they played against the Bills. They didn't play great against the 49ers last night. No one played good in that game. Matthew Stafford only got me 8 points in fantasy. So not like that game. But if they come back and play like they were against the Bills, that's going to be very dangerous for the Commanders. While the Commanders are most likely in, they have a 79% chance currently. If they win 88% chance, I would never cease to amaze me if somehow the Commanders lost this. Hopefully they don't, but there's always a chance. I don't think we will. Like I said a few minutes ago, I really don't think we will, but it's Commanders. And the Rams have been playing okay recently. Okay, so week 15, you got Commanders versus Saints. Last week we didn't have a game, so I can't talk about last week games. I can only talk about this week. And going into this week, there is one major storyline other than the playoffs. It is Marshawn Lattimore. I said he was back last week, but I can now officially say he's back. The NFL posted on their account. He is back to be a demon to that Saints quarterback. I don't remember what his name is fully, but all I know is Marshawn is going to make it a very rough day for him. Marshawn is automatically our CB1, while this is a great tune-up game for him because the Saints don't really have a very good wide receiver right now, and their quarterback is it's their second string, third string. I don't care because Spencer Rattler and that guy can kind of switch spots. He's not really too much of a threat to me. I don't think so. I would most likely say, if anything, Marshawn gets a tune-up game. I mean, Jake Haener, that's his name. I don't think he's going to be too much of a problem. And really, I don't think the Saints are going to be too much of a problem for our defense either. And our offense, even better. This is a game where it should be very much like the Titans, where we come out there quick, fast, keep B-Rob in the game, and throw the ball to Terry McLaurin, and we'll be great. Jamison Crowder might be back soon, or he is back, one of the two, but once he gets back, put him in for returner instead of Zacchaeus, because Zacchaeus cannot return for dog at all. He cannot return, I'm telling you. So once Crowder comes back, he'll be a great piece for return, maybe get us a few more yards. Some of the other games this week, Chiefs, Browns. Chiefs probably win via dark magic. I'm joking now. I don't think it's like that. They just got lucky a lot. Bengals, Titans. Bengals should win, but wouldn't surprise me. Texans, Dolphins. Texans should win. Ravens, Giants. Ravens by a mile. Jets, Jags. I don't really care for it much for that game. I hope Trevor Lawrence is okay, but Mac Jones versus Aaron Rodgers is not what excites me in 2024. Cowboys, Panthers. I want the Panthers to win. I think the Panthers can win. I think the Cowboys have been okay recently, so they have a chance of winning, but I would love for the Panthers to win. Chargers, Bucks. I got to go with the Chargers. They've been very good this season. They've been very unfortunate with some of these losses, very close losses, so I think they're going to take the win there. Colts Broncos. Both teams are going to be fighting very hard because these have playoff implications, but I think Bo Nix will be a little bit too much for AR-15 just this game, and the Broncos will take it. Patriots Cardinals. I'll take Cardinals. Both these teams really don't have much more to fight for. I think, yeah, the Patriots are eliminated, and the Cardinals are like barely in the hunt still, so it's nothing much. Then Bills Lions. Bills Lions is the harder game to kind of choose. I love both teams. I love watching both teams. I do fully believe that the Lions are the best team in the league. I mean, if the Bills win, maybe they're the best team in the league. They had a rough loss, but then again, a lot of teams have had a lot of bad losses, so especially good ones. But I do think the Lions will take this. I think the offense is just so good, and their defense is really good too. So I think if they can shut down Amari Cooper, Josh Allen will still be a problem. He had 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in his last game, so he'll be a problem. But the I think the Lions have enough amazing offense. I don't know. I said enough amazing offense that's gonna just overshine him because one player can't win you the game. He can try, but you can't win you the game. And then the next game after the Bills Lions, Steelers Eagles. As much as I want the Steelers to win because I don't like the Eagles, I don't like their team because we're rivals, and Eagles fans probably don't like my team because they're rivals, the Commanders. So it goes both ways. They want us to lose, we want them to lose. So I think the Steelers actually have a chance. I think a lot of people sleep on the Steelers. I think the Steelers are a lot more dangerous than a lot of people think or want to say. But I do think the Eagles might just squeak it out because Saquon has been insane and Jalen Hurts hasn't been terrible. I think their offensive struggles with passing recently have been a little bit to keep your eye on, but they've won with through it. They've won doing other things, so it shouldn't hinder them too much. Packers, Seahawks. Rams fans really want the Seahawks to lose. I see the Seahawks losing too. I think the Packers are just going to do better this game. Not so much to it. They're both some pretty solid teams. Packers are the third best in the division, and they have a really good record. That tells you something. So I'm going to go Packers. Bears Vikings. Last game was close. This game, I don't think so. I think that the Bears are going to be so heavily focused on the 2 yards that the graphics show the 2 to 310 yards last week, which is absolutely awful. I don't know what the Bears are doing. They need to make some major changes. But I think they're just gonna be too in their head about it. So I'm gonna take Vikings in because the Vikings are a good team. Falcons Raiders. That's gonna be a really hard game to watch probably. I think I'm gonna go with Falcons just because I think maybe Kurt might get his game in gear a little bit, but I wouldn't be too surprised if they somehow lost this. I mean, the Raiders are on, I think, Desmond Ritter as their quarterback, so I wouldn't expect the Raiders to do too much. So I'm going to go Falcons, but that's kind of my diagnosis for the week. Then we go to Pro Bowl voting. I'm going to go over the number one for each position on AFC and NFC. I'll try to go through it quick with some parts I might talk. Lamar Jackson, number one for AFC in quarterback voting. Not surprised. Lamar's a very good quarterback. He's very good on his legs, and I respect his throwing because he whooped all my Commanders. We did have a bad cornerback group, but he still did great. So shout out Lamar. Next, you have quarterback for the NFC, Jaden Daniels, which is amazing to see. Jaden Daniels has been great this year. He had his spots where he was bad. I'll be honest. Well, he wasn't terrible, but he wasn't good. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. He did look bad against the Eagles and the Steelers. He didn't look great. But with this, break, maybe getting his ribs actually right now and, you know, just some time off, it made him back to what he was. Against the Titans, he was great. So hopefully he's going to be amazing against the Saints and Eagles and the rest of the season. But it is amazing to see that our rookie is number one in Pro Bowl voting. That just shows how good he is and how much people believe he will be great in the future. Running back, AFC, Derrick Henry. I'm going to go through this one quick because I think everybody knows the answer. Derrick Henry for AFC, running back NFC, Saquon Barkley. They've both been great respectively for both of their teams. and I'm not surprised they're number one. Brian Robinson, I'd love to see him up there, but I don't think Brian Robinson's done enough to be in conversation with them. And I'm not saying he's as good, but I'm saying Brian Robinson is good, but he has not done as much as they have. Fullback, Carson Steele, Kyle Juszczyk. Not surprised. I don't know if Carson Steele's done too much, but Juszczyk, he's helped the 49ers offense as much as possible with all their injuries. Wide receiver for AFC, Jamar Chase, not surprised. He's the Triple Crown right now, so he's got to be up there. Wide receiver, NFC, Justin Jefferson. I don't think he's had the best. Like, he's had a pretty good season. I don't think it's as good as it was last few years, but I think it's with the new quarterback, new system, kind of. He's done great. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not saying he's done good, but not as good as he has. So not surprised there. Terry is fourth, I believe, in all of the voting. So that's great to see that he will play in the Pro Bowl. Hopefully, if it keeps going on, Commanders fans keep retweeting and keep voting. Tight ends, another rookie for AFC. Well, on the AFC side, Brock Bowers. Not surprised. He's been amazing. I think we can say Brock Bowers is probably the best tight end in football right now. Laporta, Kittle, and Kels, they were good. They were the best like going into the season and coming out. I'm gonna say Brock Bowers. I gotta give him his respect. He's definitely in conversation for NFL Rookie of the Year, but I still think that Jane Daniels has it. Brock Bowers has been amazing though. Don't get me wrong. Tight end for NFC, George Kittle. I don't really think too many like tight ends have been amazing in the NFC. I think Zach Ertz has done well. I don't think he's enough to be the number one in voting. I love Zach Ertz. I love that he's been on their team, but I don't think he's number one in voting for tight ends. Tackle, Joe Alt, he's been good, and NFC, Penei Sewell, not surprised. They've been great. Guard, Joe Thuney for Kansas City Chiefs. Whatever, it's the Chiefs. And then NFC, Kevin Zeitler for the Detroit Lions. And then centers, AFC, Creed Humphrey, and NFC, Frank Ragnow for the Lions. I do think that, you know, Tyler Biadasz could be number one, but what can a Commanders fan do when we haven't been great for a few years, Which the Lions haven't been great for a few years, but they've been better than us recently. So that's what I'll say. Then defense, you have AFC, NFC, defensive end, AFC, Trey Hendrickson, defensive end, NFC, Nick Bosa, both have been good. Trey Hendrickson leads in sacks, not surprised there. Nick Bosa has had kind of a down season, but I think it's because he's had some injuries. So, and if it wasn't for Aiden Hutchinson snapping his leg, Aiden Hutchinson would definitely be there and number one in sacks. D tackle, AFC, Cam Hayward, NFC, Vita Vea, not surprised there. Outside linebacker, TJ Watt and TJ Watt for AFC, Andrew Van Ginkel for NFC. Not surprised. Inside linebacker, Raekwon Smith, AFC. Zach Braun, NFC. Not surprised there. Quarterback, this is where it gets fun. AFC spots, you have Marlon Humphrey. Marlon Humphrey, sorry. Sorry. Uh, for quarterback group, this will be interesting. For AFC, you have Marlon Humphrey, he's been good. And NFC, Byron Murphy, he's been good too. I I'm not gonna argue that Commanders player should be there because we know that's not true. And Marshall Lattimore's their best one, but he hasn't played for us yet, so it's definitely not there. So I'm not too mad. Strong safeties, Kyle Hamilton, AFC. He's been good this year. He's had some dropping problems with interceptions, but he's still been very good for his team. A little injury prone this season, but he's been all right. NFC, Brian Branch. I think he's probably the best strong safety in the league, or one of the best. I'm not surprised there. Free safety, AFC, Damar Hamlin, and then NFC, Kirby Joseph. Uh, I Detroit Lions, Kirby Joseph, yeah. Buffalo Bills, Damar Hamlin. I don't think he's played good enough to get that spot. I'm sorry, I don't think he has. I think it's more because some things that happen, but it is what it is. He has the spot number one so far, but good for him. AFC and NFC leading vote getters by position, special teams. Kickers, you have Chris Boswell, AFC, Brandon Aubrey, NFC. Yeah, Chris Boswell has been great for the Steelers. It's definitely not Justin Tucker. It's not going to be him. I can definitely tell you that. And NFC, Brandon Aubrey, he's been good. I mean, You could argue Jake Bates, but just Jake Bates doesn't have the same stats. So AFC punter Tommy Townsend and NFC Jack Fox. I'm always just gonna say Tressway because I love Tressway, so I say Tressway gets that spot, but he's probably not, but it's okay. Long snapper for AFC James Winchester for Kansas City Chiefs, and NFC Andrew DePaula for Minnesota Vikings. Not mad there. And then red safety AFC Jaquan Jackson, Tennessee Titans, and then NFC Cavante Turpin. I can't argue he had a crazy play against us. And special teams AFC Miles Killebrew for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and for NFC Sion Vaki Detroit Lions. I can't be too mad against that. Most of the voting I'm okay with. There's some votes where I'm like maybe not, but top five in vote getters. QB Lamar Jackson for Baltimore Ravens, 82,402. And you have Saquon right on his heels with 82,082. Derrick Henry, 76,582. Josh Allen, 73,627. And Jahmyr Gibbs, Detroit Lions, 73,617, just on the heels of Josh Allen. I love Jahmyr Gibbs. I loved him out of the draft. I don't know. I'm just a big fan of his. So he's been good. And then off of the NFL, I mean, Saints Commanders game, I already said give the ball to Terry. See how Lattimore plays and just be yourself. Be yourself, Jane Daniels, and we'll win. It's not. It should be a hard game. NBA Cup though, this is the fun game because I have to say one thing, and this might annoy Warriors fans and NBA fans just a whole. But you have a controversy going on about the play. I mean, I didn't. I thought it wasn't really. It was a weak call. If like it's a weak call of anything. But you're saying, oh, same thing happened the dead ball before when Gary Payton went for it and Fred VanVleet did it. But are we gonna talk about how Sengun was getting torn down by Kevin Looney? Like we're not gonna bring that up. So when people were saying, hey, like this is a stupid foul, it happened before. Then look at the foul before. Sengun was in like perfect position for a rebound, and Kevin Looney pulled him away, couldn't get it, and that's why he lost the ball. So if anything, the first foul was committed on a Rockets player. So at the end of the day, it would have been Rockets ball no matter what because it started off with a loose ball foul. So you can take that. So going into the games, I'll also just say no, Rockets won 91-90, which broke a 15-game losing streak to the Warriors, but in a big game. And Steve Kerr was hilarious after the game complaining. And then on the other side, one thing I love Trae Young for this. I think this is amazing. Trae Young just lives in the Knicks fans' rent free, man. Like I know he like took you out of the playoffs, said some stuff, but guys, like you actually hate this man. And the most disrespectful thing is like I don't know if he meant it, but like he walked up to the Knicks logo, like he's on it and rolled dice on it. Like you're gonna let that guy who knocked you out of the playoffs, your fans despise him, and you're just gonna let him roll dice on your logo? Like I just thought it was hilarious. I think Trey is cold, but that's besides the point. So going into the NBA Cup semifinals, you have the Rockets Thunder. You know, that is tomorrow, but I'm going to be honest. I have faith in my Rockets. We beat the Thunder once. We can beat them before. I know they don't have Chet, so people are going to bring that up if they win. But this is I would say, the two best young teams in the league. I think the Thunder are number one. I'm a Rockets fan, but I won't be overconfident in them. I do think the Thunder are the number one young team in the league. But right now, with Chet Holmgren, even though the Rockets are the number two young team in the league, they can beat them. They beat them once this year. They can beat them again. And then on the flip side, you have the Hawks versus Bucks. I think that the Hawks have actually been very good recently, which kind of surprised me because this DeJounte Murray trade actually seemed to have helped them a lot more than it has hurt them because it has helped the it's helped some of their players kind of get out there. I mean, they're not the best team in the league. I mean, they're seventh in the standings for the Eastern Conference, but they're within like they're almost the same with the Bucks. But going into the game, I think that some of these players for the Hawks have really shown out. Trae Young, of course, he's always there. Jalen Johnson has been very good. Dyson Daniels has been helping. Hunter's been fine. Like some of these guys have really stepped up, and it's good to see that because you want to see your younger players start to step up and the newer players come in step up because you don't want Trae Young having everything, especially because Murray left. But when it's been this good, why be mad at it? I like you look at where the Pelicans are after that trade, and the Pelicans are the last in their conference. They're last in the division. They're last in everything, really. I think, do they have the worst record in the league? No, the Wizards do. They have two more wins than the Wizards. With the Wizards, two more games won over them is not an accomplishment. It just means you're not the worst team in the league, but that's literally almost the same tier because the Wizards are dog awful. They beat the Nuggets okay, but at the end of the day, if you look at the rankings, the Nuggets are seventh in their conference and they're in the playoffs. The last thing we'll go into is the Juan Soto contract, which is huge. Biggest sports contract, professional sports contract in Major League history and history. It is a 15-year, $765 million contract to play with none other than the New York Mets. I think it's a crazy contract. I find it wild that players are getting paid this much, especially because you look at some teams in other leagues and they don't even give out $765 million. Some of the teams in the MLB don't. Like, this is crazy. So you have to think that in the next few years, after the Soto deal, you might see the first $1 billion contract. And hopefully it is someone who's better than Soto. Soto isn't awful, but I don't know if he deserves that money. I don't think he does. He did pretty good in the playoffs and stuff, but I don't think he deserves that much. But this is one of those deals where hopefully you still got money because with some of these players seeing Soto over there, they might want to migrate to the Mets, which the Mets were 2 games out for the World Series. They lost to the Dodgers 4-2. So, and if you look at it, the Mets gave the Dodgers a harder time than the Yanks. So you add Soto to it, and there's a chance. And even if you add one more good player, they might be able to beat the Dodgers. Which Dodgers are very good. Don't get me wrong. They're the best. They're the best team in the league. They won the World Series. They're the best team in the league. So we'll see what happens. The Mets are definitely a team that people should be watching now, and hopefully it can be a fun show for the Mets fans because they need something like that about now. And a lot of other teams need that. I mean, Orioles, we still haven't even re-signed Corbin Burns yet, so which is something we probably should do. But off of that, thank you guys for watching this episode. It's a little longer of an episode and a little bit later, so I apologize for that. But this is the time I had. Like I said, I will do a prediction video for Saturday night's main event. I know it isn't a full pay-per-view, but it's the first one they're doing in over a decade. So like just let it happen. But thank you guys for watching. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Be ready for some of these episodes I have planned coming up. And bye. Subscribe.